A very good morning. After a bullish daily candle close yesterday on EURUSD, throughout the Asian session, we have been pushing back in towards the downside. So are we now ready to look for longs or are we looking for shorts? Good morning, guys. My name is Fabio and welcome back to another daily market update where we discuss all the major dollar pairs and, of course, gold. Now, first of all, two major updates here on the fundamental side of things. Japan loses its top creditor status for the first time in 34 years. This has caused UJ, so USDJPY, for example, to rise and to push up higher as Germany has overtaken Japan as a top creditor globally. And second of all, Merz gives Ukraine the green light to strike deep inside Russia, which is ultimately not very positive for the euro as it's causing increased tensions within Europe. Good morning, guys. So let's dive into EURUSD first and have a look at what we can expect for the day ahead, because euro dollar is pushing down lower in towards daily demand. Now, this here is your daily area of demand. This daily demand zone broke this previous area of supply. So what we're looking for is EURUSD still to push down a little bit lower, and then inside of that daily area of demand, could we look for a potential further upside push back up in towards this overall liquidity high. Now, this is only if we get lower time frame confirmation. So what I'll be looking for is on the 4 or on the 1 hour time frame, a market structure shift to then take a potential long in towards that liquidity high, and then from there look for a potential sell-off once again. Let's say that we do not see any bullish confirmation within this overall sell for the buy. Just wait for the current fractal low to break, because the daily time frame will then be bearish once again, and then we can get into new short positions on the 4 hour fractal structure confirmation inside of that pullback, because then the overall, let's say, buy before the sell, which is then this over here, that is then going to be your area of supply. But this is obviously dependent on the fact that we get a very strong, let's say, bearish impulse this week. We get a lot of momentum in towards the downside, and then towards Friday, for example, or next week Monday, that is when we'll see the pullback potentially happen, get the 4 hour fractal structure shift, and that is then when we can look for further downside. But otherwise, until then, I'm only interested in further upside from this area of daily demand to push the market up higher. Okay, so potential shorts are going to be on the table once that happens, but until then, only looking for longs. So that's EURUSD pretty much. Looking here today at the 1 hour, at the 4 hour time frame, let this thing drop a little bit more. I don't really see any clear areas of demand here to our left. Also on the 4 hour time frame, not really anything too clear. So I'll just let this thing kind of create a new area of demand. So what you would want to see is something like this, a V-shaped reversal, and then you could look for the longs once again with a freshly created demand zone. So we need demand to be created inside of that daily area of demand to really get a trade, because here to our left, there's no 4 hour area of demand, which I would really be happy trading off. Now, going into the dollar index is pushing up higher as expected. Remember, yesterday I mentioned that I would want to see a retracement back up in towards the daily area of supply. So inside of that supply zone, that is when we have the potential to look for dollar shorts again, which would result in those EURUSD buys. Now, if we break the current fractal high, obviously that's when my bias will shift. But as long as that holds, shorts are only thing on the table for myself. So keeping an eye open for what will happen inside of there. 1 hour time frame, 4 hour time frame, don't really care at the moment. These things are bullish, so let them push up higher, and then once we get maybe some highs taken out, that is when we'll look for the structural shift and when we can get into some potential shorts again. But otherwise, until then, just let it go and let it do its thing. Going into AUDUSD, what can we see over there? So AU has started to sell off once again. Yesterday we saw a end of the an end to the rally overall. Since yesterday's London session, we've been pushing back down in towards the lows. Overall, what we can see is that we've kind of just swept these descending highs here. So interesting to see again, you kind of have this descending trend line over here with a one tap, a second tap, and a third tap. So where is the liquidity lying? The liquidity is obviously lying at the beginning of the overall trend line. That is where, let's say, the final end boss stop losses are positioned. Those get taken out, and that is then when you see the potential retracement again. So let's see how the market reacts. Obviously, we still have a lot of liquidity resting underneath all of these lows over here, but it will be very dependent on what the dollar index does, if AUDUSD would be ready to push up higher once again. Okay, so keep our eyes open for that. Because Overall, looking here at the daily time frame, obviously the daily is currently fractal bullish, and we are retracing now in towards where? In towards the sell for the buy area of demand. So now that we're inside of here, you could look for potential long, but for myself, AU is just so extremely choppy that I'm absolutely not interested in trading it. All I can say is that yes, you're inside an area of daily demand, so it makes sense to look for potential long position. Now what you would need to see is a lot of bullish confirmation here on the lower time frame. So for example, here we have equal lows, and here we have an area of demand. So what you would now want to see is a V-shaped reversal back in towards the highs, breaking the current fractal high to look for 1 hour long position, or you wait for these equal lows to get tapped down, and then you look for the V-shaped reversal, and then look for like a double fractal break to confirm that you actually really want to push up higher once again. Because otherwise, if we do not see any bullish confirmation at all, it could just come for all of these lows over here, and we could just see a further push down. So that's AUDUSD. Moving on into GBPUSD. So GU is obviously one of the most bullish pairs of them all. However, we are inside an area of daily supply at the moment. So keep in mind that this area of consolidation, which you have over here, and I'll highlight it for you, this is your area of daily supply. Move back all the way to the right, and you can see that we are currently positioned inside of that. So obviously after a break of structure, and with the break of structure, I mean here this over here. So you get the push up, you get the retracement, you get the push up again. So here you break market structure, you expect a retracement. When do you expect a retracement? When you're inside daily supply. So we're inside daily supply, we're also in monthly supply, by the way. But with us being inside of daily supply, we're looking for a potential short position back down in towards what? In towards, let's say, this overall weekly demand zone, which I would refine to just this single sub for the buy candle. So I'm looking for a pullback trade here on GU. Now, what do we need for that pullback trade? We need a higher time from area of supply. That's number one. So that's what we have. Now, number two is obviously we need a change of character on the lower time frame, being the 4 hour. So I'm now waiting for the current fractal low to break. That is when I'll look for the pullback and then get into those shorts, as we still have a lot of ascending lows here, which should be taken out. So looking for those shorts on GBPUSD, with the fact that we're inside daily supply, we just need the trend confirmation on the lower time frame, at least a 1 hour change of character over here with the current fractal low breaking. So let's see if that happens on either the 1 hour or on the 4 hour time frame. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NZDUSD is also selling off pretty much after also grabbing those highs. So this is why liquidity is so important to trading, because overall, obviously, this is, let's say, pretty much just an area of consolidation. And what happens is that we've swept the exact high over here to our left. So this is the high of the overall range. The high gets swiped, and that's when you start retracing down lower. So now let's keep an eye open to see if this overall sell before the buy is ready to push the market up higher. What I'll be looking for is bullish confirmation inside of it. Daily fractal is bullish, and the 4 hour fractal now just needs to be bullish as well if you're interested in getting in those longs. Now you need inside of that 4 hour area of demand, or that daily area of demand, that is where you now need the lower time frame confirmation to get into more buys. So keep an eye on that. Also, obviously, keep an eye on how the dollar index responds to its supply zone. Now, dollar yen is pushing up higher as I expected due to the news that Japan is not the top creditor globally anymore. So that's causing USDJPY to rise. So I do see some further upside potential for USDJPY with all of these descending highs. There's a lot of liquidity resting over there. So I'm looking for those potential buys to take place. And what I'll be looking for is for the market to push up higher in towards the highs and to follow this area of demand up higher pretty much. So that's just what I'm looking for on USDJPY. Daily time frame wise, swept some liquidity, so it makes sense to look for the long positions. USDCHF, what we're looking for here is pretty much the same as on USDJPY. Daily time frame is inside demand, and the fractal is bullish as well, and it's at a key level of support over here. So looking for further upside. 4 hour time frame now is fractal bullish. Again, what I'll be looking for is some more clear momentum. At the moment, yes, this is demand, so yes, it makes sense to see this push the market up higher, but do keep in mind that I would use a little bit of a wider stop loss, not just place it down below over here, because there is still potential for some liquidity sweeping, but this is a very strong level of support and resistance. So what I would do is maybe just take an initial position here again, with maybe like a wider stop loss below this low over here. I really don't see that getting taken out, and just swing this up higher once again. And then once we see like a double fractal break, and if you want, you can of course make it a little bit smaller, but then get into those positions once again and look for something like this. And then Looking at gold, last of all, gold has dropped a bit. Overall, still looking for buys and following the overall daily order flow. Daily fractal is still bullish. 4 hour is still bullish as well. So it makes sense to look for long positions. Overall, again, the exact same analysis as yesterday. The impulse up, the overall correction down, and now just looking for the next impulse up once again. Yeah, just looking for the lower time frame confirmation. So overall, on the 1 hour time frame now, you can just simply keep an eye open and see if we're going to get any bullish confirmation within this area of consolidation that we have over here. So now we just need some manipulation to take place, maybe some lows get swept, and then look for longs once again. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day. Today we're going live on YouTube at 2:30 Central Eastern. So hope to see you there. Thanks.